Good evening. By way of introduction, my name is Davis Fields, and I am the chair of the Campbell Planning Commission. I'd like to call to order this meeting on April 14th, 2026. Ken, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Scissor? Here. Commissioner Kamkar?
Here.
Commissioner Alney?
Here.
Commissioner Bucklander?
Here.
Vice Chair Aquino?
Here.
Chair Fields?
Here. Next item is the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting? Are there any corrections?
I move to approve the minutes of March 10th, 2026.
Second. Ken, can we get a roll call?
Commissioner Scissor?
Aye.
Commissioner Kamkar?
Aye.
Commissioner Alney?
Aye.
Commissioner Bucklander?
Aye.
Vice Chair Aquino?
Abstain.
Chair Fields?
Aye. Next, we are for the communications and agenda modifications. Director Eastwood, do we have any communications, agenda modifications, or postponements?
Chair Fields, none of the above.
Fantastic. Oral requests. All right. Who is here who would like to speak on the starter home ordinance? Can I get a show of hands? One? I was going to address that once I knew how many people were here. So you are welcome to speak in this session. This is the session that is open for the public to comment on things that are not on the agenda. The starter home ordinance is not on the agenda for the Planning Commission tonight. It is on the agenda for the City Council 1 week from tonight in this building. I would invite everyone here who's interested in this to attend that session because that's where you're going to hear the city's proposal and have a chance to public comment on like the specific proposal. But you are welcome to use this time to speak. But I want to tell you in advance, we're not going to engage with you on that. We cannot engage with you because it's not on the agenda. So when you speak and when we don't respond, don't you all think we're rude. That's just how this has to work legally. So wanted to explain that in advance. So if anyone would like to speak, you are welcome to come up to the podium at this time. And if you could please identify yourself, and you have up to 5 minutes.
I think it's only 2, but thank you for 5. I won't take the full 5. My name's Travis Galladiri. Rob, we spoke a few weeks ago. I am here to talk about SB 1123 and the Campbell ordinance. First off, thank you for putting it on the agenda for next week. Saw that email that came out earlier today, so that's good news. So I'm under the assumption that we'll likely see some change there. We'll wait and see for next Tuesday, but I do want to talk about what's next. And that is, Rob, when we spoke, you told me that there's a chance the existing applications could be grandfathered in. There are currently, I think, 18. I see every week there seems to be a couple more. And so my ask is that this planning commission gives guidance to the city council about what to do with the ones that are currently in application stage. From what I understand, state law preempts local ordinances. And so I have a few asks. One, don't mark any projects complete. You can say we are evaluating completeness under state law, not just our ordinance, and then deem it incomplete, which we know is a lot better than just denying a project outright. SB 1123 only gives ministerial approval if all criteria are met. You could say these projects must revert to discretionary review under the state law, and therefore ministerial does not apply, opens up to CEQA, can change things. So look at that angle. For projects that are already marked complete, ask that you wait the full 60 days for approval. There's no reason to rush it. You could say cities are not allowed to knowingly process applications under an unlawful standard, and they wait for the city attorney to give guidance on those projects. And then lastly, many of these developments are asking to go above the local ordinance for height. They're asking to go to 35 feet instead of the 28 foot for many of the neighborhoods here, using the density bonus law. From my understanding, that law is designed so that if that's the only way you can reach the density bonus, then you can do that. But when I look at a lot of these developments, they're 2,000 plus square foot homes. They can reach the density bonus without having to go to 35 feet. So I'd ask that you take a look at that. So in summary, I'm asking the city to use your power, create some legal friction versus just assuming these developments are grandfathered in. Fixing this ordinance is half the battle, but please seek attorney guidance before processing these applications further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the chamber or anyone online who would like to speak in this section? Anybody online? Okay. Yeah.
One person, Travis Calderi,
That was me.
There we go.
and then the other one,
Oh, the other one's on an agenda item. Okay, great. Okay, I will close the open communication and I will move us to our first agenda item, which is 1460 White Oaks Road, Suites G, H, I, J, and K, a conditional use permit. Just to provide a brief overview for how we do these, I have announced the item. Staff will give a presentation. We'll all have a chance to ask questions. The applicant, if they wish to speak, has a chance to speak, and then we will open this up for public comment for anybody in the audience or online who would like to speak about this item. Before we start on this item, commissioners, do you have any disclosures for the agenda items tonight?
I went by both locations.
I also went by and I live nearby.
I Google mapped it. I know these sites well, so I know where they're at.
I assume we don't have to mention if we Google mapped it because I always do that to see if I'm too close.
Yeah. I've driven by. Great. So this item will be presented by planner Dana Fama. Thank you very much and take it away.
Thank you. Good evening. So item number 2 is a conditional use permit for 1460 White Oaks Road. This property is currently developed with an approximately 22,000 square foot industrial building constructed circa 1981, located on White Oaks, south of the northbound Highway 17 off ramp. The property is zoned light industrial with a corresponding general plan land use designation of light industrial. It borders industrial uses to the north and residential uses to the east and south. The application before you would allow establishment of a motor vehicle body shop with a spray booth spanning several tenant spaces. Even though the building has historically been used for auto repair activity, due to a lack of a conditional use permit for these tenant spaces, they do constitute a non-conforming use, which means that any intensification is subject to a conditional use permit. And so in this particular case, the combination of those tenant spaces and the introduction of motor vehicle painting activity does trigger conditional use permit, the reason we're here. In addition to the establishment of the repair facility within the building, there's also some nominal site improvements associated with this. That includes construction of a new trash enclosure, interior gates, a new fire truck turnaround towards the back. This building is quite old. So the current fire access requirements weren't in place in the early 1980s, so there was a lot of coordination with the fire department, as well as removal of unpermitted cargo storage containers that are currently also shown. And then based on the findings analysis contained in your staff report, specifically that the application would be consistent with the general plan, zoning code, site's adequate to serve the use, it's compatible with existing and future uses, and would not be detrimental to the public health or safety, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving the requested conditional use permit. Then I'll take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Let's start on this end with Commissioner Zisser.
Okay, just to be clear, there's 5 suites. Are those suites in the front,
In the back.
in the back? Okay. And the paint, the paint booth is,
Inside, you can actually see it on the floor plan over here.
oh, okay, so this is, there's two photos here. They're continuation photos? Is that what it is?
It's I believe that's a continuous, it's a large piece of the building that's been taken out.
Yeah. I just see the paint booth on the left-hand side. And is that towards White Oaks?
That is towards White Oaks.
Okay. I was just concerned because the backside over the fence are residential. And so nothing is really going to change in terms of what's happening in the backside.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, yes, I mean, arguably, I mean, this is not functionally changing the historic use of the building. It's really just the zoning code reality of triggering a condition.
Yeah, I know it's enclosed spray booth, but if it was in the back, I'd be more concerned that whether or not it's gonna impact the residential people that are over the fence.
Yeah, and I would add, there's also very specific fire department requirements dealing with emissions out of vehicle painting.
And do we know if there's been any complaints in the past from the residents?
No, not to my knowledge. I mean, I took one phone call from a resident. She was just more curious about the postcard, but that we haven't received any other correspondence on the application.
Okay, that's all I got.
My question is about the fire turnaround. How wide are those alleyways?
Well, the drive aisle should be 20 feet long or wide. So typically you see these at closer to 25 feet for the backup space for vehicle parking. So what they had to do was to actually remove some parking spaces towards the back to create kind of that boot looking turnaround back there because the site is so deep that it just was not compliant with current fire code requirements. Which normally that would just be an existing condition that would remain unchanged, but when there's a new application that's intensifying the activity, the fire department uses that as an opportunity to try to bring the site into greater compliance with the fire code.
Okay, so I get that. So, paint being flammable, is there like a water, hydrant or something that's being required?
There's not a hydrant, but the paint booth review is really something that's more looked at as part of the building permit stage. It's not really, the fire department's really much more interested in getting emergency vehicle access into the site. And then a separate unit of the fire department dealing with hazardous materials really gets into the details on the paint booth. Again, later as part of the building permit.
Yeah, and then I guess the paint will be stored on site then, right?
Generally, yes.
Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
So, now that we're living in the age with all these electric cars, do you have any knowledge about the fire codes pertaining to auto repair places that now will be expected to repair electric vehicles and having all those batteries sitting around?
No, I'm afraid not.
Yeah, okay. So it's not something that anybody here ever talks about when we do auto body places?
It's a good question. I mean, I know our fire department is very concerned about batteries. I mean, ironically, one of the bigger fire concerns are, literal dumpster fires because of improper battery disposal. But the fire department staff hasn't really let us know if that's an issue with this type of activity. But I suspect if it were, they would.
Okay, I was just looking to learn something.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Commissioner Buckmeyer.
Sorry, just to be clear, it's a light industrial location. That's exactly the sort of light industrial use the economic development director said that we wanted here. What exactly is non-conforming about an auto body shop? Is it the painting?
Well, it's that there is not a conditional use permit currently on the property, and painting technically constitutes a distinct land use activity separate from repair. So when you add a new land use to a non-conforming land use, it triggers a conditional use.
So if this were just an auto body repair place, would that require a CUP?
No.
Okay, it's just the painting that requires a CUP. Okay, thanks. That explains that for me.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. Phil, if you want to learn about batteries, it's in the building code now. There's a whole chapter on the end of the fire code for lithium-ion battery storage systems. The other question I had, Daniel, was you mentioned containers. Are those existing or are those going to be brought in by the new tenant?
There are existing unpermitted storage containers at the far back. You guys can kind of see them at the
Yeah,
far right. And so those are going to be removed as part of this application,
Great.
both because they're unpermitted and also they would partially obstruct fire department access.
Right. Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. My only question, we approved Dell Exotic, I don't know, a year ago, which was similar. How's that place gone? Any lessons from that approval we should think about here? Or has it just been totally fine and,
As far as I'm aware, it's been totally fine.
okay. No other questions. I will open it up for public comment. You have, let's actually start with the applicant if they're in attendance and would like to speak. And if you don't mind, hit the red light, that'll unmute it. And if you could identify yourself, that'd be wonderful.
Oh, press the light. Okay. I'm Jeremy Musan. I am the Director of Construction and Development for JNC Auto Body, the applicant.
We can ask you questions. You don't have to make a statement.
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead. Commissioner Congreve?
So I live nearby, you know, and I many times use the shops that are there for my cars. And one of the issues there are parking. And, you know, sometimes the different vendors or different shop owners park the cars, so you actually have a hard time going in. You know, that's how. And so if, God forbid, there's a fire there and fire engine wants to get access, you know, what kind of a plan would you have to make sure that way is open for emergency vehicles?
Well, we're actually required by fire code to leave the path of travel for the fire truck accessible. We don't, all of our repair is done in the building. And we will be storing in the building as well. So we won't have, other than customer parking, we won't have an overflow of vehicles to inhibit the path of travel for the fire department. For the public.
Actually, I have another question.
Yeah, please.
So, unless I got the wrong building, there's a Wheel Works in there right now, is there not?
At the,
Are you replacing the Wheel Works?
no, that tenant stays. The tenant stays up front.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
So
separate.
you're
suite.
you're in the middle or something?
Yeah, we're in
We're
the
in the back.
middle, and then there'll be one additional suite left.
Okay.
At the end.
Thank you for your explanation. Real quick question, is this purely repair, or are there gonna be any like custom modifications? If somebody says, you know, I wanna bring my car in and have you modify it, Restomata,
No,
these car, no, just purely restoration paint,
yes, yeah, just, and predominantly collision repair,
collision repair.
yes.
And to tag on to one of the questions about electric vehicles, are you certified to do Tesla cars or any other electrical?
So the way, yes, so it's kind of double-edged sword, so, two-part question, or two-part answer. Our company is certified to repair Tesla vehicles. However, Tesla certifies each repair site individually. So we're an MSO, so we are a multi-site operator, and each site is actually is certified individually.
I see. So you'll have to get a certification from Tesla or Rivian or whoever.
Correct, yeah, as well as, you know, other automakers, so we, you know, for repair, we seek General Motors,
Right.
Volkswagen, et cetera.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adam, you got anything?
I have no questions. Thank you for being here and broadly, how did you find the process of applying for this?
It was actually pleasant. It was timely. This by far was probably one of the faster conditional use permit processes that we've had. Yeah,
That's
so thank
really
you.
nice to hear. I know staff tries to do a good job, so I'm really glad they did.
Mr. Farmer was exceptionally helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You can sit. If anybody else would like to comment on this item? Yeah, you can mute it if you want. Thank you. All right. Is there anybody online? Thank you so much. Nope. All right. Well, with that, I will close public comment. Now we're going to discuss this item as a commission. Let's start on the other side with Bookbinder.
I have no particular specific thoughts about this. I don't see why there are specific issues involving painting that wouldn't be covered by building code. Seems like a public safety kind of thing, which is kind of outside of our wheelhouse. This seems, I agree with staff, it seems, a good project, we should approve it, and maybe we should think about why this needs a conditional use permit.
Makes sense. Commissioner, or Vice Chair.
Thank you. Adam, I think that's one thing Alan and I are working on as far as what needs a conditional use permit. So that's one thing these types of projects are what we're gonna focus on. How can we streamline this process, even though it went through smoothly, but we wanna really take a look at what deserves to get a conditional use permit. So hopefully we can make some recommendations to city council to help minimize these kinds of issues.
Thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then to the point of the project, I think it's a perfect location. I think it's gonna be a benefit to the community as far as, another place for people to get their car repaired. We are in a big area with a lot of people and a lot of wrecks, so I'm in favor of this project. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Hawley. You can, we're deliberating, so sure.
Yeah. So did you, it was actually for Mr. Eckel, I was hoping you had looked at the HVAC part of this? Did you see anything?
HVAC?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so, I don't know what type of exhaust you're gonna use, but typically projects I've done where you have chemistry or solvents or acids being exhausted, you run them through a very high volume exhaust fan. We call them strobic fans, like 3,000 CFM plus, shoots it like 300 feet in the air. Or they'll have a charcoal filter in front of that to absorb the chemistry, whatever, before it goes out in the atmosphere. So there are ways of cleaning the effluent from a paint booth. I'm not sure which one they're gonna use, but there are ways to mitigate
Well, I was just
to the
wondering
neighborhood.
if you saw in their application, if you were satisfied with their HVAC.
Well,
'Cause that was the thing in my mind was, are we making sure the toxins aren't hitting the air?
Well, I don't think that
It wasn't
information
addressed.
is part of this application, right? That would be more of a building department,
Correct.
fire department.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
I mean,
then. No.
I'd be happy to look at it,
No,
comment on it.
I was just gonna lean on you because I don't know what I'm doing.
But thank you for the question.
Commissioner Comcar.
Thank you. So, going back to the conditions, there is a condition in there for the path of vehicular travel to not be obstructed either overnight or during the course of business, because, I lived there over 10 years, and I see it.
Yeah, I mean, the fire department does have a condition that simply reiterates that per the fire code and vehicle code, you can't block the fire access lane.
And it's in these things that we are approving.
It is.
Commissioner Zisser.
No, it looks fine, and I'm gonna assume that the fire department does their job and the building department does their job. And I hope you sell a lot of parts because we need the sales tax revenue.
All right. Also very supportive. Glad to hear the process was fast, but supportive of the commentary. I think this is one maybe we can make even faster for any future applications. With that in mind, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move. Resolution granting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a motor vehicle body shop with a spray booth within an existing industrial building on property located at 1460 White Oaks Road, Suites G, H, I, J, and K, file number PLN 2025-145.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Again, can we have a roll call vote?
Oh, can I just
Oh,
correct
yeah,
that?
please.
It should be 2026, right? Even though it said 2025? On the file number? No?
No.
Okay. All right.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Scissor,
Aye.
Commissioner Camcard,
Aye.
Commissioner Alden. Commissioner Buckbinder,
Aye.
Vice Chair Aquino,
Aye.
Chair Fields.
Aye. The motion passes 6-0, and this item is final unless appealed in writing to the city clerk within 10 calendar days. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Moving to our third item on the agenda, 271 East Hacienda Avenue, a conditional use permit. to consider the application of Anderson Architects to allow the establishment of a medical services clinic providing outpatient neuroacupuncture and physical rehabilitation services with an existing commercial building on the property located at 271 East Hacienda Avenue, PLN 2026-11. The presenter again, Daniel, take it away.
Thank you again. This is another conditional use permit application, this time for a property on 271 East Hacienda Avenue. This property is developed with a 9,500 square foot R&D and warehouse building constructed circa 1985. It's on Hacienda, one parcel east of Winchester Boulevard. This property is located within the Research and Development Zoning District and the corresponding R&D General Plan Land Use District, and it abuts industrial and commercial uses on all sides. The proposal before you would allow for a medical services clinic that in this case consists of outpatient acupuncture and physical rehab services within that entirety of the building. The floor plan shows about half the building as clinical offices and the other half as open rehab space. And then to support the proposed use, there would also be some site improvements, and that would also include a new trash enclosure as with the prior application, bicycle parking and entry gates, as well as some restriping of the parking lot. And then again, based on the findings analysis contained in your staff report, the application is consistent with the general plan and zoning code, and site's adequate to accommodate the use, compatible with existing and future uses, and not detrimental to public safety. Staff does recommend the commission adopt the resolution approving the conditional use permit subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. I'm gonna flip it and start with Commissioner Bookbinder with questions for staff.
I assume you know what I'm gonna ask. Why is this need a conditional use permit? I heard that like it's in an R&D building. We're trying to limit the amount of non-industrial / R&D uses we have there, but I think up to a certain proportion of each building is allowed. Is this above that threshold?
Now that threshold is applicable to the commercial zoning districts.
Okay.
And in the industrial, or in this case, the R&D zoning district, any proposal of any size requires conditional use permit.
Okay, all right. I had that backwards. Thank you.
Vice Chair, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Commissioner Alney?
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Comcar? No. Commissioner Zisser, you must have one.
Sure. Well, but it's fine, I don't have a problem with it. The issue, but this struck me, I know we've talked about the whole R&D thing versus this being in an R&D area and the zoning and all that stuff, and that I'm hoping maybe at some point I've talked to Nate, the economic development guy, about this, and so I actually looked up the general plan, and LU 2.2 prohibits this in theory, okay? But I know that we don't specifically. I think maybe the R&D designation is too general. Maybe we need to really look at that at some day, and because I know that there's long-term concern about filling up what we call R&D with non-R&D stuff. So I'm just bringing it up because it's like, I don't know where you guys are in looking at that, whether, we should be concerned. We've seen a number of things go in to the Dell Avenue area that are not really R&D, and, it's fine. It fills up a spot, but, it seems a little bit like we should be trying to fix this in the future in terms of the zoning. You got any thoughts on that, Daniel?
Many, and that's not entirely untrue. And a lot of the general plan does require further implementation of zoning code updates to really effectuate it. There's an argument to be made that, R&D should not allow medical, but President does. And absent really more specific findings or operational criteria or locational criteria, it's a pretty hard lift to make a compelling argument against a denial on any particular application.
Yeah, well, it's hard to deny it, especially when there's Kaiser across the street.
That's it. Yeah, so the city has historically found that medical is appropriate. Kaiser has 3 buildings.
Yeah. Okay, I'm fine.
Can I ask about that? Okay, because I I wrestle with the value add of R and D as a zoning. We look at the context of Silicon Valley being the R and D of the world. That maybe there's a way, I mean, I'm sure it's a huge lift when the general plan comes around to have better definitions or maybe elimination of R and D in lieu of some other application that doesn't make it so hard to do the kinds of things we want to do, which is just fill the spaces with reasonable occupants.
My only question is more of an observation. This is my tribute to Commissioner Zisser looking at the details. I noticed that the address seems to be wrong in the header on the last pages. It says 750 East Hacienda Avenue on those pages, so.
Look at that correctly.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
Sure you did.
I forgot to note.
I have no other questions. So I will open it up to the public portion of this meeting. Is the applicant here? Would they like to speak?
You did it right.
I'm like a frisbee here. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Kurt Anderson. I'm principal of Anderson Architects. I'm located at 1925 Winchester, our lovely city. So I'd like to share with you all before I start that this is my 50th year of being in front of this commission. Not bad, huh? I'm still here. I'm not walking that great, but I'm still here. So first off, I want to tell you how much we appreciate the staff. My clients are ecstatic how this process has gone. We actually filed for the CUP in January. And look where we're at. It's pretty amazing. Okay, and I've done, can't tell you how many projects I've done over the years. I probably entitled over 2,000 projects in my career. And this has been one of the smoothest, the easiest projects ever. And we've done a lot of work in the town. So thanks to Daniel and the fire and Public Works, really made it a very, very pleasant process. My clients need to close the building move because their lease is expiring, you know, yada, yada. That whole series. So a little bit about the client. These guys are very specialized rehab facility. They use acupuncture stuff. They have people that come all over from the world, and they do a lot of spinal damage stuff. They actually have the robots where they teach them how to walk. It's a really unbelievable facility. So glad we have them because I think it really helps our community. So other than that, I've reviewed the conditions. We find them acceptable, but I'd like to add a couple other points about kind of off record, if we can stop about this. One, I want to talk about the CUP. Okay, you know, we have another project that's located on Camden Avenue. It's the old Indian restaurant. They want to put a Vietnamese coffee shop in there because they don't do sit down service and they're more of a cafe style. It's a restaurant, and then we're going to make it a different restaurant, and we're going to have to go through a CUP. So I think you need to look at that because that seems a little onerous for something that's already an existing use in that facility. So I think we should try to clean that up. Other than that, guys, I'm just pleased still be working in town.
Can I
Still
ask
be
you,
here.
excuse me, can I ask you a question about that again?
Sure.
I didn't quite catch that. It's going from a quick service to.
Okay, so it's a sit down, it was a sit down Indian restaurant,
It's a
right?
sit
It's
down
Derweiler
right now.
Schnitzel, right there between Derweiler Schnitzels and Foster.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to go to a cafe style where you go up and you order it yourself.
So we're
But
going from a
because it's
sit,
not set down table service, we have to go through a CUP. It's still a restaurant. It seems a little bit onerous for it, and it's a small facility. And so I think when you look at this, I think you should take a look at that. I think that's important that you differentiate. If it's an existing restaurant and you're still using it as a restaurant, we should be a CUP. So other than that, I just thanks again to the staff and appreciate you granting us approval so we can proceed. And we filed for building permits today, so we're on the fast track at this point.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Great job. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? No. Thank you so much. Congrats on 50 years.
Yeah, about that.
50 more.
Hey, with the new stuff coming through, man, peptides and HGH, all that, I'm going for it.
You got a rehab place you could use.
Well, I'll get it to replace body parts, which I'm working on, okay?
I did have one question.
Sure.
Given that the city is somewhat streamlined, putting studios or clinics like this in commercial zones, but not in R&D or light industrial zones, was there a particular reason why you did not seek to use being able to skip the CUP process and occupying a commercial building instead of a light industrial or R&D building?
According to my clients, they've been looking for a building for 3 years, and this is the first one they found that would meet their needs. It was the right size.
just low vacancy rate, like not a lot available.
And so, and we checked with them before they made the acquisition of the property, we checked with staff to make sure we could do it through the senior prep process. Adam will tell you this, I started doing medical facilities in 1985, done over 175 outpatient surgery facilities across the United States. I've done over 3 million square feet of ambulatory care in the Valley. And this is just really such a unique facility. I think it's a real attribute to our community. So, but they were adamant they wanted to stay in Campbell. So,
Thank you for explaining how you got here. Just wanted a bit more context. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. Anybody else in the chamber who'd like to speak on this item? Ken, I think you said we have one person online. There we go. Fantastic. I will close the public hearing. I will open deliberation on the other end. Commissioner Zisser.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. Actually, I went to, there's a place 2 doors down that I go to, I went to orthopedic, physical therapy, right? For a few months. So it's like almost right next door, and it's kind of same kind of building. So, I get it. It's fine.
Mr. Comgar.
I think it's the right location. I'm glad that it provides the service that it does, and very happy that they chose to stay in Campbell. To me, that's great. To me, that tells us how hard our staff are working, and getting the process favorable, so they choose to be in Campbell, even though they have other choices. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Allen?
Nothing to.
Vice Chair?
Congratulations from one architect to another for being in practice for that long. Good job. No other comments.
Mr. Bookbinder?
No further comments. I appreciate the context.
Yeah, love this project, very supportive. Very cool to hear on both of the items so far tonight, the story about how quick this is going. I know we've had some staff shortages in planning, so it's especially impressive that speed could be achieved despite that. So, great job to everybody working there. With that, let's have a motion.
I was good.
Doesn't have to be you.
Yeah, I was good. Defer to somebody else.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve or granting approval of a conditional use permit to allow establishment of a medical services clinic providing outpatient neuroacupuncture and physical rehabilitation services within an existing commercial building on property located at 271 East Hacienda Avenue, file number PLN 2026-11.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ken, can we have a roll call vote?
Alan
Commissioner-
won this.
Commissioner Scissor,
Aye.
Commissioner Kamkar,
Aye.
Commissioner Alney,
Aye.
Commissioner Buckbinder,
Aye.
Vice Chair Aquino,
Aye.
Chair Fields.
Aye. With that, the item passes with a vote of 6-0. Planning Commission action is final unless appealed in writing to the city clerk within 10 calendar days. Congratulations.
You're welcome.
Have a great night. With that, takes us to new business. The first item is the Planning Commissioner Subcommittee reports. Would love to hear, I wasn't expecting any update. I think you're still a couple of months on.
Yeah, we did meet with staff.
Yep.
Since the last time we reported, and they actually owe us some stuff.
Well, we're waiting also to get some information from Nathan regarding commercial brokers that we can meet, et cetera. So, yeah, I think we've got a good plan ahead of us.
Great. Keep us posted and looking forward to the full report when you guys are ready. For the housing incentives, any updates? Yeah.
The doc has been somewhat updated. I can give an update. Matt, if you want to add anything to this, you okay if I give the update?
Go ahead,
Cool.
please.
So we've met with 2 developers. We have a meeting with the 3rd next week. We have slightly revised the approach. The idea is that in descending order, express lane, reduce inclusionary zoning, and come up with some way of pausing impact fees, which we don't think will be a very easy sell to city council. I also had a chance to speak thank you, Rob, for setting this up, spoke with Councilmember Lopez, who had some pointers as to what would or would not be plausible for council to take up. The thing we got from the developers was they at first seemed very uninterested in the idea of an express lane. When I asked,
Define that a little bit
Sorry.
more? Yeah.
so there have been a couple of attempts across the state to streamline development and make it sort of deterministic, as opposed to, like, if there's something that the city has agreed will be ministerial that it has to approve, like, if you do this thing, then you will get your permit. A couple of cities, most notably Los Angeles with their ED1 proposal, would say, okay, give us your application on day 1. On day 60, you will have your building permit. And no one was terribly interested in that because they didn't believe that the city would actually provide a building permit on the last day and it would just get dragged out. And they were very interested when I said, well, what if it was deemed approved at day 60 or 90 or something like that? And they said, oh, that would make an enormous difference. Like, not even that the city, they're not even saying that staff is slow or the city is slow, but being able to de-risk that is apparently one of the things that makes it very hard to do projects. Is it probably won't take that long, but there's this long tail of uncertainty. And this isn't even, like, to emphasize, this is not getting rid of any discretion that the city has. We see projects come before planning commission that we're told it will put the city at great legal jeopardy if we were to delay, deny, or condition the project in any way.
If I can interject,
Yes.
the key being certainty. You give developers certainty, they're interested. Tell them, we promised this, we promised that, yeah, right, whatever. But the key is being, certain. Thank you.
Can I chime in on that? Okay.
Please.
So having thought about these kinds of mechanisms, to protect the city interests from those that would abuse a process, introducing a checkpoint that says the application is complete before the 60-day clock or 90-day clock where deemed approved would occur is a good safety valve, so that within very few days of a complete application, then you get your real clock.
Yeah, my understanding is that the way the Permit Streamlining Act works is that you have, please correct me where I get this wrong, either 30 or 60 days. Like, they have to respond within 30 days and they have to say, you need to do these specific things, and they can't, like, send it back again and again. If you do the things that they say are missing, then it's complete. Like, it is in itself a bounded process.
Right, and also that 30 or 60 days clock, whatever it is, it gets reset every time comments come back from the city.
Yeah.
And the developer or applicant has to start addressing those comments. They actually have 30 or 60 days. It's not a cumulative 30 or 60 days for the developer. There was a court case that, said that for a Cupertino project, I think. Yeah, so that 30, 60 days, the whole idea being allowing developers to propose projects that have a good chance of, being.
Yeah. And the other thing being that obviously inclusionary zoning mandates have a tremendous effect on whether or not a project will be financially viable. Talking with Councilmember Lopez, the thing that I was charged to do was, if you can make a case that this seemed like a good idea at the time, but it turns out it did not work out the way we thought it would. We did it in good faith and we're learning from our mistakes. That is a good way to present that. And I think that's accurate. There are a number of cities which have rolled back these mandates. San Jose, San Francisco, the state of Oregon has. I've also separated the document into a pleasantly readable portion and about 8 pages of jargon with footnotes, if people would like to see my work. If there are no other questions, I don't have to add anything else, but does anybody have any questions about the report or suggestions for directions I should go?
Are you going to put it in the Campbell Press?
I'll mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I have mentioned it, but yes, if people don't know, there's a planning commission column in the Campbell Press every month, and I try and update people on the goings on about housing in Campbell, and this is relevant.
My only question is like, when do you think I'm not rushing you or anything, but when do you think you're gonna have it complete, the report?
The main thing we're waiting on is I'm gonna try and, we wanted to meet with a number of developers and that's been a bit troublesome. But I'd hope to, after we meet with the developers, talk with staff and see what we can squeeze through. And like, as soon as we can get it done, like I'd like to, ideally, we get something presented to, that the council, that the commission would approve and get sent to city council like before the summer, I hope.
Great. No other questions? Thank you for the reports. Exciting progress on both of our subcommittees. I will take us to the second item, the report of the Community Development Director. You're in echo too. Do you want to make sure we're all muted on the? Director Eastwood, do you have anything under the Community Director report for the commission?
I have nothing. Kidding. I do have some updates, and I know you're waiting on those. Quite a little list. I'll start with recent council meetings. I can't remember the last time we gave you an update. March 24th council meeting, this will be of commissioner interest. The council considered two things related to SB 79, and for commission's generally believed on SB 79, it's a new new law, state law, sponsored by Senator Scott Wiener, signed into law last year. Generally prescribes that within a half acre for Campbell of our light rail stations, the densities that are prescribed and allowed, irrespective of zoning, will go up. And generally between 80 and I believe it's 140 units per acre. And just to show you a little bit, I know there's just a briefing. If I could share real fast, we gave a report to council, A, on what is SB 79. And I'll show you in a second. B, there's a provision in the law that you can exclude historic properties. And so we brought an ordinance to council to exclude those historic properties. And B, to exclude properties that are more, I believe it's than a 1 mile walking distance. So it's half a mile as the crow flies, but if you have to walk more than a certain distance, it's not within the area. So our staff both map the historic properties, and those that are more of a distance, brought an ordinance to council to go ahead and, in order to be able to implement SB 79, exclude those properties.
Now, that last point you made, that was part of the clarifications that came out of Sacramento, right? Because wasn't that one of their sticking points? Along with what is a rail station combined with this walking thing? So they finalized that?
It was signed into law. I know a couple things. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about SB 79 all day, and I'm not the leading expert, but there's been many variations of the proposed law that were modified. I think up until the last minute, that might have been.
So because they were going to have some regulatory, I don't know, seance, I don't know what to come up with these guidelines that they were going to say would be compliant with the law as legislative intent, but they never got a conclusion out of that, I guess.
I do know that, I mean, the law goes into effect on July 1st, so there was a delay. There is some catch-22s with the law, which is creating a lot of uncertainty. Specifics on measuring distance from light rail stations are actually subject to HCD guidance and the guidance of NTC ABAG, that's the Regional Planning Agency. In order to try and give some initial certainty, our staff went out and did the mapping ahead of time, but technically we're waiting on that guidance to come forward. It's a bit of a catch-22. The law goes into effect on July 1st, and under the law, that advice from those agencies doesn't come out till July 1st. So there is some uncertainty there. I know at this time there are, I believe, up to 4 new state bills being proposed to amend, modify, or change SB 79. I think the one that the League of California Cities is pushing the hardest on is to delay implementation of the bill. I think a lot of practitioners, included, would say it would be much more thoughtful to do SB 79 as part of the mixed housing element. So you're looking at housing development where you're planning for growth together. But there are a couple of modifications, including excluding mobile home parks and a couple other things that are being proposed. So although the law has been signed into effect, it's still not effective. There's a lot of uncertainty on how it will be implemented. and if there's gonna be modifications to that. Let me show you real fast, and you might have seen these.
Quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
So the 1 mile walk for a transit stop, would this mean that a proposal to put a footbridge over 17 to connect what's currently the Campbell Technology Park to the area around Winchester Transit Station would be the subject of like a much weightier debate because it would make SB 79 apply there where it possibly wouldn't, as an example?
Well, I'm hoping that the exhibit on the screen would, are you
Okay,
asking about a specific property, Adam?
Yeah, well, I know that there's places like, there's no easy way to get from Winchester Station to like Edith Morley Park, even though it's short as the crow flies, like that's the kind of thing I'm thinking, like there, yes, exactly.
So this is the mapping our staff has done. Again, MTC and HCD has to weigh in, verify if this, if there has to be modifications. But to give you just a general polarization of the impact, every area you see in yellow allows up to 80, the CS allow up to 80 units per acre for residential development. Every area you see in blue, the city would have to allow up to 100 units per acre for residential development. And every area in red, which is the areas closest to the stations, the city would have to allow up to 140. So it's a big impact. I would say with general certainty, as a city in Santa Clara County, this was reported a little bit in the press, we're probably the most impacted city proportionately out of 15 cities with respect to the geography and the population we have today. So it's a large impact on the county. So on the March 24th meeting, staff both presented the exclusion ordinance excluded historic properties and distances that was adopted by council. Under SB 79, a city can propose what's called an alternative plan. So there are options to shift density. If you think there are areas that shouldn't have that amount of residential density, you can reallocate it to other parcels. There's some strict guardrails on how much you can shift. For example, the minimum density that you still would have to allow, say on the 80 units per acre, would be 40 units per acre. So for example, if the city wanted to allocate from some single family neighborhood 80 units per acre to another site, it still would have to allow 40 units per acre on some of those properties. The council weighed some options. Staff's recommendation was, given the uncertainty in the law, there might be modifications in the future. At this point, we haven't gotten too many inquiries about residential development at those densities, and I'd say generally the market for high density development has not been strong at all in Campbell. Our recommendation was to wait at least post July and into fall to see what the landscape of SB 79 was, come back and see if the city would like to pursue an alternative plan. Council accepted that direction. That's the status of this.
Yeah, can I just make a couple comments? Because I went to the council meeting specifically to hear about SB 79. And I don't know how to say this nicely, but I was kind of disappointed in the amount of council input on this. In terms of, asking questions and commentary.
You mean
to the,
like in a lack of?
Backup,
I see.
yes. Actually, such that I got up and hadn't planned on saying anything, but I got up and did 2 minutes. To me, it's very consequential, 79 long-term. I mean, it turns out I learned that it's not just the 3 light rail stations, there's actually a 4th light rail station that affects us, the Bascom Southwest Expressway station. If you do a half mile, it covers some of Campbell. So if you imagine half-mile radiuses from each of the light rail station, it covers downtown, based on the map, covers downtown residential neighborhoods. It covers residential neighborhoods over off of Winchester. It's a big amount of space that in theory would allow higher density in or near single-family home neighborhoods and around downtown. So it's even more than what we'd already done in the housing element in terms of putting more density by the stations. So I think in the short term, maybe it's not. The problem is long term. It's like what's going to happen in 10 years, 15 years in terms of people taking effect. So I'm hoping the city comes up with something that will mitigate you know, so we don't have, you know, a whole bunch of 8-story buildings around downtown or 8-story buildings near our neighborhood, more than we would normally want. So I see it as a potentially, you know, scary kind of thing that could happen in the next decade or so if this stays in place and we can't mitigate it. So I just wanted to comment on it.
I guess my comment would be is, you know, I attended the academy, the Planning Commission Command Academy in Anaheim, and the question that kept running through my mind is, what is the state going to do when cities cannot meet their required housing? Allegedly, there's gonna be a fine of $50,000 a month, per month, et cetera.
Sorry, what?
Okay, let me finish. So,
To meet the arena,
yes,
to meet in the arena.
right, is that?
That,
is that
there
what
is
I
no
heard?
law that says that.
Is that what I heard?
There's a
Not
fine
at
if
this
you
point.
deny.
There might be some
There might be a fine.
proposed legislation.
Yeah, so if it does happen, they're gonna bankrupt cities. I mean, how's LA supposed to come up with 456,000 new units in the next arena? How? That's a city, right? That's infrastructure. Police, fire, schools.
I don't think we should
I
be
mean, just,
worried about laws that are, let's face it, unlikely to happen.
well, there's
There's
already
fines for
26,
improperly
yes.
denying housing.
Yeah, no,
Do we have a
I'm all for that.
question for Rob? Just
Well, yeah, well, that was the question, is
Yeah.
like, what happens when a city cannot meet its requirements in the cycle? That's,
You mean like all the cities that aren't gonna meet it, like 500 of them?
So at this point, and I know it's not on the agenda, but in broad strokes, our attorney will remind us not to dive too deep into discussion. It's not an agendized item. Broadly, cities that don't meet RENA, and I'd say that's 90+% of the cities, are subject to SB 35 and streamlining ordinances for affordable housing development. That's about it at this point. There might be a few other things, but nothing.
okay.
You know, but just so I understand, the purpose of the discussion is so you can relay any cohesive message to the council, or?
Purpose is to brief the planning commission on SB 79.
But it doesn't go the other way at all?
No, to your point, there will be a role for the planning commission at some point. I'm trying to think about what that is.
Yeah,
If we do a formal alternative plan, obviously, we're talking about residential densities and moving them. That would be subject to planning commission review.
Because what I would be concerned about is when these buildings start appearing is when I would expect to see those chairs filled at a city council meeting. Because then the rubber met the road, and that's when. But the problem is, by the time that happens, how many approved projects are in the works? And for the council to not be getting ahead of this, I would think, I mean, I would be wanting to get ahead of it in terms of messaging and education and these.
I think, go ahead.
Okay, next item. I have more. Bit of good news, not usually something the planning commission would consider. On the March 24th meeting, the council did accept a West Valley Homeless Services feasibility study. Might have briefed you on this. This is a collaboration between Campbell, Cupertino, Los Gatos, Saratoga, and Montessorino together on looking at homeless services that could be shared among the 5 communities. The idea is that all 5 cities would accept the study, and the next step would be to assemble a task force to look at how to implement it together. As a first step, that was accepted by City Council on the 24th. April 7th, quick update. You might be aware the city is preparing a citywide multimodal plan, look at active transportation, transit improvements. The Campbell City Council accepted an update on that. Provided some direction on where to focus for first wave of improvements. In general, consensus was council members focused on safety improvements. Just some updates if you'd like to track out, there's a second wave of public outreach that'll be happening. If you want to mark this down or interested, Campbell Farmer Market on April 26th, Premium Yard on May 2nd, and a community workshop on May 6th. So if you'd like to get involved in the multimodal plan, more active outreach happening. 3 last things. Number 1, knowing the commission and your ad hoc subcommittee on housing is looking at park fees, it'd be my professional advice for you to get a nice briefing on What are tree park fees? How are they used? What are they used to build? What would happen if the city did not take in the park fees? I've asked our Public Works Director and Recreation Director to come to your May 26th meeting. And so they'll come and do a study session on the world park fees and would get under advisement.
Thank you. That is very helpful.
Two, as may have been noted before, in terms of operations, department's down probably about 40 to 50% staff at this point. Unfortunately, we are down to two planners. Assistant planner Alyssa Lohman, who you might have seen in these meetings, has tendered her resignation. She's accepting a job with Sunnyvale, but that leaves a vacancy in our department. I do have a bit of good news. I think we'll start recruiting soon, but for the time being, for a department that normally has a staff of 5.5 FTE planners, we'll be operating with two. So there might be a slowdown in our operations, although they might be very sharp, talented planners, still only have two of them at this point. Last but not least, probably something you've been waiting for an update on, SB 1123. I'll give briefly, knowing there's a council meeting next Tuesday. So 1123 was approved by the state in 2025. Campbell, under an urgency ordinance, adopted an implementing ordinance after that. In the past couple months, we've had a number of proposals come forward. Under SB 1123, you can be proposed in both multifamily districts and also single-family districts that are vacant. Campbell's approach to determining vacancy, and there's a lot of discussion around this, was knowing that a property owner at any time today could apply for and obtain a demolition permit to render a property vacant under only a building permit, was to allow vacancy to be determined or to occur during the development process. So someone could come in, if it had a house, rather than apply for, demolish the house, then apply for 1123, allow the house demolition to happen during that process. We holistically, council members, staff have received substantial public interest on this, notably 3 to 4 projects, maybe more in single-family neighborhoods where the property is not vacant, and questions on why Campbell's ordinance declares vacancy that way and a number of other issues. In response to that, we are bringing the urgency ordinance back to council next week, and we'll present options to council on maintaining the current way of determining vacancy or different ways of determining vacancy. And I invite planning commissioners to attend that meeting on your own. You could observe that meeting over YouTube, and happy to give an update on the direction or the adoption of the ordinance by council following that. Yeah.
What is the, I'm gonna put this. Should we refrain from commenting?
I would defer to our attorney, but to deliberate on the item where it's not on the agenda.
You mean
No, I mean,
today
should-
or next week?
I meant next week.
Okay. So today, no, not on the agenda.
Right.
Should not be deliberated. If you have
Yeah,
questions.
that's all
for
I
Rob,
wanted.
that's-
Can we make comments, though? Not deliberate, but make comments?
I think we should
I
not
think
try
that's
to
a-
do
that's a
that.
fine line.
I
If
have
we
a
can-
lot of feelings. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
you know,
but we're not gonna get an opportunity to input unless we write to you like I've already done. And I'm only gonna get 2 minutes at the council meeting. So I don't understand why it's brought up and we can't at least, I don't have to have answers, but I have some opinions and comments on it. We're not deliberate, that's not a deliberation, in my opinion.
yes, I think that's up to the chair to determine if we want to allow some comments. I think we could have, there could be some comments, but again, directed toward Rob about what the process would be, what that would look like next week at city council. I think having deliberations would be inappropriate though.
No, I'm not suggesting that we discuss it and answer, question and answer and all that kind of stuff. I just have some strong opinions about this and some questions about that can be taken away. And I don't see a reason why we can't offer those in this.
Questions for suggestions for council or is it?
For Rob, in terms of, I have a lot of questions and I have a position on this, okay? So we don't need to deliberate. I just like to be able to state it.
So I'd suggest, and subject to Tori weighing in, I think as an individual, you can go to council and under 2 minutes provide your opinions as an individual. I am open, you know, if you have feedback on the process, how we got here, I'd say I'm happy offline, not in a hearing where it's not on the agenda, to meet with any commissioners and just answer any questions you have.
I do have a question regarding the 1123. You said it could be done in both multifamily or single family that are vacant.
Correct.
So, so my question is, what's the, so, why, I thought 1123 can only be done in single family that are vacant. And then 684 can be done in multifamily. And they were basically the same. Is there a,
1123 adds single family to 684.
You are, yeah, without going too deep, you are correct, Commissioner Camper. I focused on 1123 because that's been the discussion, but the Starter Home Act in general, under SB 684, allows these to happen in multifamily.
right,
That was the starting point. 1123, to Commissioner Zitzer's point, expanded
to
the
single family?
allowance to do starter homes into single-family neighborhoods where the property is vacant. So it's both.
Okay.
And those are two bills that speak to sort of the Starter Home Act.
Got it. And if we're done with all those things, I do have a question about planning commissioner vacancy, if there's a report on that.
Good, good. I just want to be clear. I can't say anything about this?
Do you have questions for,
Yeah,
for the director?
yeah, I have
think that's
questions.
appropriate. That having to do with. the
okay, I can make questions that, make it into questions. I mean, I have some questions. One of the questions, for example,
Yes.
we were bypassed on this ordinance. Now, I know it's emergency ordinance, and that was, I guess, the reasoning, and you're allowed to do that. But we were bypassed 3 times. This ordinance came up initially in July, then it came up again in August to be, I guess, redone, and then in September, it was extended as well. Or that's the final version. I'm not clear on that. So my question is, we see more housing stuff than the council does. And we actually probably know more than the council does, based on a lot of us being here for 5.5 years. And yet we don't get to see this ordinance before it comes, because it's my understanding that you saw it as an emergency, that that was going to cause a problem unless we did this in a big hurry. So why didn't it come in front of the planning?
I can answer that in the broad, and I just, I think Commissioner Zister has a list of questions, but advise after that, subsequent questions, we can be offline. So, and as Commissioner Aquilino might remember, as stated in the recent Planning Commissioners Academy, every year I'd say we get more than 100 new land use. And often these, and a lot, this has happened for 7 years straight, 100 to 200 bills per year. And often these bills are not adopted until October and signed into law in the October timeframe. And most often, SB 79 is an exception, they go into effect in January. So that the period from understanding what the bill is, understanding its ramifications on the city, and the period in which our staff has a chance to understand that and when it goes into effect is usually 2-3 months. So Campbell, it's not a practice. Not all cities do this, but our practice and under my direction to staff is we want good customer service and be able to explain to folks who say, hey, I heard there's a new bill on starter homes and what can I do? And rather to then point to government code and sections and try and interpret it, our practice has been to try and get standards on the book as fast as we can, at least to help our customers, help applicants, help residents understand the laws, implement those. And as you know, and our city attorney's office has supported this because they go into effect so fast, we have in practice for the past couple of years used urgency ordinances. As an alternative, the city could do a deliberative process of proposing what's called a standard ordinance and going through a hearing with the Planning Commission and a hearing with the council. Oftentimes that does take, at least 3 to 4 months, 4 to 5 months to go through that process. And again, it's been our judgment call because these laws go into effect so fast and because we get questions so fast from residents and customers, that it's been a better practice to start with emergency ordinance and then come back later with the ordinance. So that's been the practice.
But there's no way to wedge us in an emergency?
Well, and I don't want to go too deep because it's not on my agenda. I did chat a bit with Chair Fields, and a question would be: Is there a way to do a win-win here? So where we could do some expediency and get this to council, but still somehow have the planning commission have a role in that. And I don't know the answer to that, but I'm more than willing to look at what we can do going forward to do that.
You know, Rob, just as a comment, it's like the preparation that you made for delivering this to the council as the ordinance is the same preparation that we would see. I mean, we've had that before, where it comes to us, you go over it, we get the comment on it and give, and then, you know, then it goes to council. I mean, I don't understand why, unless we do something really, or say something really important that would make a difference. But so I don't understand the 2 or 3 months delay that would be involved in, you know, going to the planning commission and then going to the council. It seems to me you're making the same preparation. We're just going to see the same presentation for the ordinance. And so it's concerning to me that this was a very important ordinance. This has incredible repercussions in my estimation. And we only saw a brief mention, we had a brief thing in May where it was along with a whole bunch of other bills where we talked about it for 20 minutes and then nothing else. We saw nothing else. And then it went to council 3 times. Okay. And so I'm just, it's bothersome to me that we're bypassed like that when I think we probably have something good to say about it. And you know, I had to investigate all this just for transparency's sake. After I saw residents at the SB 79 council meeting in March, a bunch of them got up to talk about this, and it triggered me. And so I went and did a whole bunch of investigation. And then I wrote an email to Rob and Daniel and copied city attorney and Davis, expressing my concern about it and my position on it, that I thought that there were some problems with this. So, and then I've done some more investigations since then. And so I can send you my questions and concerns by email, and I'll be there at the council meeting for my 2 minutes. For my 2 minutes. Yeah. But I just wanted to say that at the very least, that it was concerning to me that the commission got bypassed on something that we have a lot of expertise on. That's all.
But I'd be, what if I would be interested in his comments too? Can I get in on that?
I think
we have a problem with the Brown Act.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just probably going to reiterate the comments that we already said of like, it's not an agendized item. If you have a question, you can ask it. I'll make my one pitch because I think, you know, speaking with the director, like there is a time sensitivity thing. One thing we did a couple times on the Civic Improvement Commission was like a joint session. Like if it really is this timely, let's do a joint planning commission and city council meeting where they're here, we're sitting over there, we hear the item at the same time. That's an opportunity at least for us to kind of plug in on maybe one of these. So that could be one way that we are involved in the process.
Yeah, we did that on the general plan and housing element when we went through that.
Right, exactly. Like, could we do that for more of these? That might be one option, but
This has been in operation for close to a year. We're getting a lot of feedback from the public. Was it really nothing and then all at once? Or have we been getting a lot of, how did this happen?
We have about 15 applications, and I'd say the majority of interest is on 3 of those applications in single-family neighborhoods, and that has garnered a number of resident questions and interest on those projects. That's been in the last 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but
okay.
I'm sorry. Be clear on this.
Yeah,
I believe there was no notification process to residents because this is ministerial, and we don't notify on ministerial apparently, And so it's my impression from what residents have said, is that they didn't know about this until, you know, the word somehow got out that the house next door was going to be doing this. And so, and just as a clarification on, there's 15 applications. 8 of them are single family home. The others are multi-use. So those aren't really the issue, the multi-use. It's really the 8 single family home. And that there's, I guess, 3 that residents have specifically talked about, but there are 8.
Understood.
In single family zone. Anyway.
All right. Commissioner Comcar, I think you had a question on one other item.
Yes, thank you. My question was regarding the planning commissioner vacancy, you know, how's that process going on?
I wish I had more to report. I know you have a vacancy, obviously you already know that. The deadline to file for interested parties was the end of March, April, so it's been about 2 weeks. It's been on my, I know we had at least 1 to 2 applicants. There might have been more. It's been on my to-do list to ping the city clerk, see the status, and I'll promise to give you an update next.
Thank you.
Perfect. With that, I adjourn this meeting of the Planning Commission to the next meeting on April 28th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the City Hall Council Chambers.
Did they want to speak? We have 3 people here.
There's not a speaking portion of this.
Okay.
Where the statement was at the top of the meeting with oral communications. Who did?
He raised his hand when you asked, he said he was gonna speak about an agenda item, great. But then, what agenda item was it? When you raised your hand, he asked you to speak and you said it was regarding an agendized item.
The Hacienda Avenue one. Me? I do not remember that happening.
You're pointing, this guy.
No, it was me.
Oh.
It was me.
Oh, you.
But you
Oh,
missed,
sorry.
you
No
misunderstood.
worries.
You missed,
Okay.
No, it's
Okay. All right.
you misunderstood me. You misunderstood me. I'll be glad to talk to you later.
Yeah, so Chair Fields made a comment at the beginning. So the time for oral communications about items that were not on the agenda, which includes SB 1123, were during that oral communications part of the agenda, which was at the top before the public hearings on those 2 conditional use permits. This was just a report by the director. So no, at this time, there's not an
To be
opportunity.
clear, we will not be reporting to or influencing anything that the city council will be doing next week. So no matter what you convince us of, it will have no effect on next week's city council meeting.
Apologize for the misunderstanding. With that, I adjourn this meeting, of the Planning Commission, to April 28th in the City Council Chambers of Campbell, California at 8:20 p.m.